Good evening, everyone. My name's Chris Cooper, known as a Channel Guy Trader, and I'm reporting to you live from Wall Street Trading's Miami office down in sunny South Florida. Today's date is Thursday, November the 21st, 2013, and here is today's After the Bell Market Summary video brought to you by WallStreetTrading.com. Want to first start off by taking a look to see how the indices closed the session out here for the day. The Dow closed up over 109 points. The Nasdaq closed up close to 48 points, and the S&P 500 closed up 14.5 points. If we take a look at the breadth in the markets today, we had 4,695 issues advancing on the NYSE, Nasdaq, and the AMEX. We had 1,610 issues declining on the NYSE, Nasdaq, and the AMEX. Therefore, breadth was in favor to the bulls, pretty close to a 4-to-1 ratio there. Definitely broad market strength across the board. Let's go ahead and run through just a couple of stock symbols that I'm going to say here before we look at the charts of the markets and the different stocks. We had Intel in the technology sector up 2.75%. Yahoo was up over close to 2%. We had some action in JDSU up over 2.5%. Some action in semiconductor stocks. Of course, Intel brought some strength into some of these other names, such as Qualcomm up close to 1%, QLogic up over 2%, MCHP up over 2%, XLNX. So we definitely see some money flowing into the technology stocks. Sprint had another big day here, up 8%. The financials there continue to show you that follow-through strength that a lot of people are looking for. Bank of America, one of the strongest financials today, up 3%. JP Morgan, 2%. Goldman Sachs and Citigroup up over 1%. We'll take a look at those names. Saw a little bit of weakness in the retail thanks to Target, but some of those stocks were able to recover off their lows. Target ended up closing down 3.5% or so. Some strength in the biotechs. Amgen, I would say, was on the weaker side for the biotechs. Amgen was down close to 3%. Saw some little weakness or just flat sideways action in the utilities. They were really not doing anything today. Industrial space was pretty good. Masco, MAS, was up 3.25%. Also saw some decent action in ETN up 2.25%. A lot of bullish action in the energy space. We've been talking about this sector, looking for that crude oil balance, which came in today. So let's go ahead and break down the charts, folks. Starting off with the SPY, which is the S&P 500 ETF, closed up close to $1.50 here. Closed up $1.44, up 0.81%, closing at 179.91. Tomorrow, of course, we'll be looking to see if we can hold a nice bid above 180 on the SPY. If we do, we'll be expecting the markets to most likely take out the Monday's high and close the high session at the high of the session for the week, which will be very bullish. You can see we're still holding these short-term moving averages here. We're still above the prior breakout level 177.55. We pulled back from the higher pivot low, another higher pivot low, and now we're looking for that little extension back up from this little move here. And then this little move up, we're going to be looking for that next leg up. So we'll see how we close tomorrow. We really don't have any key data points coming out tomorrow on the calendar. For the economic calendar here, we have JOLTS report coming out at 10 o'clock. We have e-commerce retail sales coming out at 10 o'clock as well. Kansas City Fed Manufacturing Index comes out at 11, and that's pretty much the big news. So not any key data points coming out tomorrow. Maybe the e-commerce retail sales will affect stocks like eBay, Amazon, and some of the other retail online stores out there. But aside from that, I mean, if everything stays the same as it did today, we would be expecting the markets to go back and make new highs. Again, keep an eye on those levels right there. The levels you want to watch, again, to the downside will be today's lows on the SPY, which is 178.82, which also lines up with the rising 8 EMA. If we break and hold a nice strong bid above 180 tomorrow, we would be looking for the market to go back up towards Monday's highs, which is the all-time highs from the SPY, which is 180 half. Let's go and take a look at the S&P 500 futures contract, Ford ES, /ES. Same thing here. We're looking for that little possible ABC move that's going to come into play if this is another pivot low that's being formed from this leg up, or this same thing right here. Kind of, of course, similar to the SPY, or you could just say even just this leg if you want to call that a leg. But there is a pivot point right here, so I do want to make sure I taking that into consideration. Up move, pivot to higher pivot high, higher pivot low. We're going to be looking for that higher high to come in there and then take us out over 1800, which again, a lot of people are expecting us to at least touch the 1800 level. If you guys recall, Monday we hit a high of 1799.75. I'm pretty sure they want to take it above 1800 just as we can have that on the headlines. S&P 500 trades above 1800. So we'll see. ES looks pretty prime. The market's looking pretty good, and the leading indices and sectors are doing pretty well like they're supposed to. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the triple Qs and NASDAQ 100 ETF. Again, we're going to go through the indices and some of the key commodities and stuff first, and we'll take a look at the stocks. So make sure you tune in towards the end, towards the middle of the video where we start talking about the different stocks and trades that we'll be looking at for tomorrow. So the triple Qs, again, they came down to that nice level that we were talking about here, 82.50 prior resistance after the support yesterday. We gapped up, nice follow through. Candles today from the gap up. We'll be looking for a break above today's highs on the triple Qs above 83.61 to make a move back up here towards these 84s, and we'll go from there. Taking a look at the IWM, which was one of the stronger indices in the markets today. Here, this thing was up close to 2%, up 1.80%. All right. Matter of fact, it was the strongest index in the market today, and you can see it's going back up towards those all-time highs. As I discussed earlier in the week, as long as the Nasdaq and the S&P 500, the Dow Jones continues to show strength, the Russell was lagging a bit, but now it's starting to pick up steam. You can definitely see how it built a nice support down here at 108.62 on the Russell 2000 ETF, which is the IWM, and now we're going to be looking for that break over 111.5. You can see we're also chopping around the 50% trend line of our big channel that we've been in right here. And if we do break out and we break over 112, the target will be back up here towards 114. So we're gonna do some nice research tonight on some small cap companies that have some nice chart setups, or some mid cap companies that have some nice chart setups. So let's go ahead and take a look at the volatility index now. The VIX down 5.5% today. Again, would not be concerned about the VIX moving higher until it really gets back above, say, 15 or so. Until then, all the rallies in the VXX, which is a VIX ETF, are is being shorted. Same thing for the actual index, which is the VIX here. All right, so you can see we had 3 consecutive higher closes the prior session. Now we had one lower close right here. We'll see if this is going to start another leg down in the VIX and another move up in the markets. I wanted to take a look at the dollar index to see how this thing closed out the session today. The dollar index was down a little bit. We're still above that 81 level. If the dollar does want to break down, it would need to break below the 80 half pivot that we made right here, $80 and $80.45 level here. If we break above today's highs, or we break above 81.50, then we can see the dollar maybe pick up some strength towards the 82. But right now, we're just chopping around. Still a lot of resistance up here from these moving averages and these little topping or little tails that we have up here, little wicks on the chart. If we take a look at the euro dollar spot, see how this closed out today. It was a little bit positive, up 0.25%. Again, it's still hanging on to this nice key level right here around $1.34, 134.15. This was a little pivot high right here that caused a sell-off. Also acted as resistance right there. We broke above it, and we had that nice momentum that came in. We held above it right here, and now we're holding above it. If we hold above this level, you could expect the euro to maybe tick back up and the dollar to tick back, and the dollar to tick back down. We'll be watching these two currencies to see how they trade in the short term going forward. Let's take a look at crude oil. We mentioned that we were looking for crude oil to get a bounce down here in this area. That bounce came today. Crude oil up $1.41. Remember, the key level that we're looking out for is the 96 level. Again, this was a range that it has been trading in for the past 2.5 weeks or so. If we could get a nice close above these moving averages, the 20-day declining moving average that has been holding price action down since back here September the 19th, we could definitely get some action in crude oil back up, I would say, towards 98. Keep that on your radar. Let's keep some of these energy stocks on our radar as well. All right, and then if we break below 93, or better yet, this little pivot low that we made right here last week, Thursday, around 92.55, then we can see some more selling pressure down towards the 91.60 area. All right, so gold futures. All right, they sold off a little bit more pre-market before the cash index opened up here on the regular financial markets, the indices, and you can see here that this thing had like a little doji day, indecision day. Do expect it maybe to continue to come down towards the 1200 level. Just a little pause day off the big sell day it had yesterday. Gold miners were not able to rally off the lows like the GLD or the gold futures were, of course, or just of course gold in general. What I'm trying to say, but that's a little sign there that there could be some more selling. The gold miners did not rally at all when gold caught a nice little bid off of the lows. Okay, GDX was down close to 1.5%. We talked about looking for some fall through sell side action in this yesterday, and you can see here how it bounced right off the low that it made back here in June. If we break below 22.21, then you can expect to see it start making its way back down towards 21 and then back down towards the 20 area. The gold mining names, of course, you can watch. You can take a look at GG. Gold Corp was down close to 1% today, down 17 cents. A nice little rally off the lows on that individual name. Let's take a look at Newmont Mining real quick here. NEM. NEM did not rally off the lows like GG did, so that's showing you a little bit of relative weakness. So if the miners were to sell off, you would know that Newmont Mining would be the one to attack, to short. And then ABX, let's see what this name did here for that gold mining sector. And ABX rallied a little bit off the lows, but of course you can see that it's trading below the little pivot level right here around 1730 or so. Next pivot support is not down until 1550, which can be a likely target if this sector continues to show some weakness. Let's see. Let's take a look at silver futures real quick. I want to see how this traded today. I was not able to watch it throughout the session here. We had copper and crude oil strong today. Those are, of course, those are two growth commodities. We know that people rush into precious metals when they're looking to fear or some type of safe haven or inflation hedge. And those two commodities were not doing anything today. We had the growth commodities showing some strength today. That's going to be the copper and crude oil, of course. And you can see silver here. Really can't get bullish on silver, the physical silver actually, not none of the gold, not referring to the gold miners, but the actual silver uh, commodity. You can't really get bullish on that until it gets back above, say, I would say 21 an ounce or so, $21 an ounce. What else? Uh, what else do I want to cover? That. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about some sectors. And before I go into the individual banks, I want to just take an overall big picture look at the XLF, which is in this nice little upward channel that's been in. Let me go to the 2-year daily chart here. All right, 2-year daily chart. You can see this. The ETF has been in this nice little upward channel. We got rejected at the top of that channel back here about 3 months ago, 4 months ago, and now we're making our way back up. XLF making new 52-week highs. The target on this is up here towards 2250, and that's why you're seeing some extra momentum come into these names as people are still telling themselves that there's still a lot of opportunity to the upside in these financial names, and of course there is if you look at some of the larger time frame. So one of the stronger financials today was Bank of America, BAC, very strong, performed pretty well today. Up close to 3%, up 45 cents, and this thing has a nice little wide range bar there. I would definitely look for some more momentum in this name right here. Second strongest bank you had was JP Morgan. You had some strength in Citigroup and Goldman Sachs, which we'll take a look at. Morgan Stanley, Wells Fargo, some of those other names. We're just going to take a look at these three main ones here, four main ones. JP Morgan making new 52-week highs. Again, we've been talking about the financials being pretty strong, and they're continuing to make their move higher. And JP Morgan looks pretty good. I would assume that people are finally saying, hey, you know what? They got a lot of that. They got a lot of their settlements paid off. They're trying to move in the right direction, and their earnings were not that bad, or whatever. And the stock's catching a bid, and then, of course all the finances are in play. This is a solid bank. They're not going anywhere. Hey, let's buy this one. So these stocks are getting momentum. You want to stick with them. They're pretty good to buy the intraday dips on them, and then look for them to trade higher throughout the day. Of course, you want to make sure you take the market action into consideration. Citigroup, another strong stock today, is up close to 2%, up 96 cents, closed at 51.73. We are going to have some trend line resistance coming in from this little pivot high, this area right here. So if you can see a nice strong break over 52, 52 and a quarter, this thing can start making its way up towards the 53 level. Last but not least, Goldman Sachs, again, above our 50% trend line that we've been preaching to you guys about for the past 3 weeks or a month or so. Finally able to get a couple closes above that 50% trend line. Our target is back up towards the 168, back up towards Tuesday's highs, and then we'll be looking for a move towards the top of the channel, back up here towards 172. And that's why we think these financials have a lot of names, because you have a name like Goldman Sachs, which has been trading in this nice little defined channel. All right, that's most likely going to go and do the same thing it's been doing, which is go back to the top of the channel, right? They're buying at the bottom, selling at the high, then they're either getting short at the high, then covering at the bottom. You guys get the pattern. So this stock, Goldman Sachs, may go back up here towards the top of the channel. As long as it continues to hold, I would say above 164, the breakout level, which also lines up with the 50% channel line, and its moving averages are coming up, we would expect to see the trade higher. All right, what's some other stocks that are moving today? Of course, you guys want to hear about GMCR, which was a monster stock. We had some traders in the room that traded this stock today. They crushed it. This thing was very strong, pulled a little bit off the highs as it got rejected right here at the declining 100-day simple moving average, or I would say slightly declining, more or less flat. And they pulled it off the highs. Definitely will be looking to buy some dips in this name tomorrow at some key intraday support levels, which we'll go over tomorrow. If you want to see what levels we'll be looking at, you want to make sure you go into our chat room, mywallstreettv.com. And at the same time, you can follow me on Twitter at AskChrisHeTrades, or AskChrisHeTrades without the S, which is where I post a lot of our live updates for some of the people that are not in our trading room. They can see it on the Twitter feed. So GMCR, one momentum name. We'll take a look at Tesla, see how Tesla traded today. And Tesla was, let's see here, Tesla a little bit, didn't really do much. A little flat day in Tesla, still trying to hold on to its dear life on that 120 level, because we know if it breaks this 120, the next level of support isn't till around 107, which also then lines up with that 20-day, 200-day simple moving average. So keep an eye on 120, as 120 is going to be a key level. We still have these moving averages that could be pushing price action down. So if the market was to get some, say, early morning selling pressure, I'm pretty sure some people may be looking at Tesla for a short candidate in the near term or tomorrow. We'll see how that plays out. But right now, it's holding that 200-day exponential moving average. Netflix, this has been a name that we've been saying to just watch and see what it does, because it's been trading in a choppy manner until it looks like it had a nice little update today. Well, it's still actually chopping around. The momentum trade, I would say, could possibly come tomorrow if it's to break. If it does break past this 350 level, you could have a nice pop up towards 355, which is that resistance from, I would say, this little high that we made that one day before the earnings gap up and fade. Let's see, Triple D, another momentum name that a lot of guys are trading on the floor. This name, again, we discussed this yesterday as a buy candidate. Why? Because it pulled back pretty nice off the 84 high, and it was coming right back into this little pivot support that it made before it shot up higher. So we said, hey, if Triple D opens up tomorrow slightly down and it holds above this 68 level, look for a long. That trade worked out pretty nice. Let's take a look at the 5-minute chart to see how it actually set up. You can see here, gap down. Why? Actually, let's take a look at the 1 minute. The 1 minute will be much better for the morning trade. So you can see a little gap down. You had a 1 minute bar with a range of 53 cents. Could have risked about 75 cents or even a dollar if you wanted to put it a little bit lower. And you can see the massive opportunity that you had there in that stock. That we, if you guys would have tuned into this video, you would have been able to participate in that trade with confidence. Again, we call out these trades live in our chat room, real time, stops, targets, entries, etc. Come check us out, mywallstreettv.com. To get access to that room, you want to make sure you fill out the form on the homepage, wallstreettrading.com on the right hand side. What are some other names? Along with the banks, keep an eye on these regional banks. I mean, keep an eye on the names like FITB, Zion, Northwestern, NTRS. You can see Zion is going to be coming to some trend line resistance right here, and it's kind of getting a nice little tight pattern. And if this thing breaks over 30, that's when it's really going to get its momentum. But until the meantime, keep an eye on it, because it's tightening up here, and these regional banks could start following along with some of the regular money banking centers and some of the big financial investment banks. All right, so we want to pay close attention to the regional banks and see if they get that little sympathy play and follow the other financials. All right, Target, weak stock today. We had Dollar Tree show some weakness this morning, as I believe Target had earnings. That's why they were down today. Yeah, Target had earnings. Actually got a nice little bounce off this little pivot low right here. Guys, you want to make sure you pay attention to these pivot lows. That's when you have a stock that's in play in the morning time and it gaps down. You can usually put some orders on these pivot lows depending on the setup and catch some nice bottom tick levels. All right, so either way, Target, if it breaks below 63.50 and holds, you can maybe get some nice little downward action to 62. It did have a nice little kind of nice little indecision day where it closed in the middle of the range. So it may chop around a bit here before it decides its next move. Just keep it on watch for the next couple of days. Let's see, home builders. Let's see how those stocks traded today. Let's start off with taking a look at Toll Brothers, TOL. All right. TOL setting up pretty nice. They have earnings coming out in about 2 weeks. If the stock could break over the 34 half level or so, a 34 quarter level and hold, we'll be looking for a move up. You have a nice little pop up right here, little pivot low, pulled back from the higher pivot low, and now it's going back up. Needs to form that higher pivot high above these highs to get that nice little uptrend in play now. So total looks pretty decent. Again, they have earnings coming out, so people expect them to have good earnings. They're probably going to run the stock into that number. We'll see. KBH, all right, we talked about this name. Had a nice little up move, little ABC pullback in play. Look, they even brought it down today to stop anybody out that had a stop below the low. That's the games that they play, folks. So KBH, nice close today. Look for the stock to try to break above the 1760 level. We'll definitely be keeping a close eye on this one tomorrow, and I'm actually going to set my alert right now so I don't forget about it in my research that I do later on. That I might do later on tonight. KBH. Let's take a look at Lennar. And I said Mike because I'm not sure if they have a Heat game tonight. Anyways, Lennar up 1%. I really don't like this one compared to the other names. I'll keep an eye on the other names instead. Let's take a look at PHM, Pulte Homes, or Pulte Group. And this one, if it gets a break above the 200-day moving average right here, it may get a nice little pop from some systems or any algos that may be programmed to buy stocks above the 200, or just any traders that are looking for that moving average trade through the moving average, I should say. Let's see what else. Some weak stocks. Amgen was down today for the biotech sector. Not sure if there's any news or if they had earnings, but let's take a look. Looks like they didn't have any earnings out. Maybe some news related. If it breaks below 110.75, you can maybe get some nice selling pressure. Just keep it on your radar. You always want to make sure you have some names that you could short or some names you could go long in case the market does something that you did not expect. PM had some fall through sell action today. Again, yesterday the whole sector for the cigarettes sector was down. I'm not sure if they are maybe doing maybe taxing them or something. I have no idea, but this sector has been getting hit for the past 2 days. You can see PM came down to its little trend line support and actually got a nice little bounce in the area. Again, trend lines, you want to make sure you're drawing your trend lines in on those charts, guys. They can give you powerful levels to look for entries or look for targets. Let's see. What else? Am I missing anything? Let's see. Let's take a look at some more of these retail stocks. Lululemon, nice little update. I believe A&F had earnings out this morning. We'll take a look at that. And A&F, all right, not much there. Really not interested in the retails right now. We're seeing a lot of action in the energy names. Take a look at RRC. RRC was a monster trade that we had today in the chat room. We took it for like about a point or maybe about 75 to 80 cents. But this name I mentioned to you guys yesterday, look for some fall through action on it. You can see how it had a nice little break above today's highs. It actually went to our next target, which was up here around 79. Around 79, the next level to watch would be around 81 or so. You take a look at the 5-minute chart. We got involved in this trade. I call this trade out in the chat room around 78.30 once it triggered over this little bar right here, and we were using a stop around 78. So we were risking 30 cents, okay, to make $1 because it went to a high of 79.40. Those are the type of trades that we take in the room, folks. We're very focused on our risk management. Again, if you want to see it live in action, you have to come to the room and check it out. Had a couple guys on Facebook saying, "Hey, post some live trades." Well, hey, come in the room and check it out. A lot of good informative information, and we're very transparent, and we like to help the traders out a lot in our group. And of course, we have traders that trade at our prop firm that join us in the room as well, as we all try to make a nice little collaborative effort to pull some money out this market. CHK had a nice little setup today. The stock was consolidating on top of the previous day's highs. You can see on the 5-minute chart, and then the natural gas numbers came out around 10:30, and or they actually started buying this stock before the natural gas numbers came out at 10:30. But you can see how this thing, nice little momentum move here, and then just kind of grinded higher. Let's go back to the daily chart. So CHK, I like the fact that it's holding this nice little base around here. You can see how this was prior resistance. It broke out, held that base, broke out again right here, held that base, and you can see how right now it's still holding this base around this 2550 area. So 2550 is a solid level on CHK. So if it could hold above 2550, watch this stock tomorrow for some fall through. This thing may want to try to go back up towards the 2750, maybe even back up towards 2850. You have to keep an eye on these energy names. See TSO, refiner, oil, gas, refining. They had a good move today. The stock had a good move today. It looks like the next target is up here towards 58. It breaks over today's highs. look for a move up towards that 58 level. I want to make sure I touch base on the semiconductors because Intel had a monster day today, up 2.75%. And you can see Intel, the next target is towards 2550, then back up here towards 2750, then 28. These little pivot highs we had right here. And nice breakout. Again, nice wide range bar, so it may need to pause a little bit after today's big move, or it could have some fall through action tomorrow, depending on how aggressive those buyers get on the stock that's up here. But again, you have Intel you can take a look at. You can take a look at some other semiconductor names like Texas Instruments, TXN. Didn't even get a chance to look at this name. Texas Instruments right on that 20-day moving average. All right, rallied up, pulled back, got bought up today. Could have another fall through day tomorrow. You can also take a look at let's see what the Qualcomm did. The Qualcomm had a nice little chart on it. Was it Qualcomm or Clack? I'll find out right now. But yeah, Qualcomm had a nice little chart on it again. Strong stock, nice powerful move here. Nice little pullback. This could be a little ABC leg for a move up potentially. Got to keep an eye on that name. And then last but not least, let's take a look at Clack. All right, and Clack. Nice little move up down here. Pulled back, moved up, pulled back, moved up. Now it's pulling back again. I would keep an eye on this little trend line resistance, which it kind of broke past again today. A little downward channel action right there. Clack, if it breaks over today's highs, or better yet, if it breaks above 63.96, or call it 64, this thing could get some action. So I want to make sure I put an alert before it gets to 64. So we'll put an alert at 63, 63.91 or so. We'll see what that wants to do. Then Cree. Cree has been a strong semiconductor stock. I believe it's pulled back in the recent weeks. Let's take a look. Yeah, it's pulled back in the recent weeks from the big cap down from the earnings number. Little bottoming tail yesterday, follow through action today. Keep an eye on this name here. Maybe you could get it bounced back up again. This was a very strong name. Earnings came out. I believe they guided lower or something like that. And next you know, the stock got slammed. But now it could be forming a little support down here at this little 54 area. Okay, well, it's at support at this 54 area and could get a nice little bounce, maybe back up towards 57.5 or so. Did I miss anything? Apple. I should have mentioned this earlier. Sorry about that. Apple up over 1% today. Apple, again, Apple's not doing anything, folks. I would stay away from it. Just trading in a range between 512 and 526. I want to take a look at one more semiconductor stock, and I'm going to close the video out here. Altera. Again, this stock's not doing good. I just saw it as pretty green today on the semiconductor sector. So, again, keep an eye on the strong semis. Keep an eye on the strong techs. Keep an eye on those financials. And that's about it. And keep an eye on those momentum names, guys. Have a great day. Catch you guys for after the bell market summary video and the midday market update tomorrow. Cheers.